Eskom is reducing the number of top executives on its books from 21 to 9, but it's not yet clear if this will be applicable to other structures at the power utility. ENCA's Michael Apple has been tracking that story for us. He joins us now live from our newsroom. Hi there, Michael. So, a big announcement, largely welcomed by energy experts, but how much clarity is there on who will go?
Well, Timbukile, confirmation today. You had the weekend reports based on a leaked report to the media that was an internal memo, basically, and saying that there would be this restructuring process in which several of the executives would effectively get the chop. They would be retrenched. It's the Section 189, as it's referred to, process that's been going on since the 7th of November. So just over a month it's taken, roughly, culminating in this weekend when this memo was sent out, where several senior executives were told whether they would remain on and their position would be confirmed, or whether they would get the chop and receive certain retrenchment packages and then part ways with the power utility. So from 21 to 9, it's more than half. It's a significant amount of senior membership. And Kulupasiwe, who I spoke to earlier, said that their roles had either been rendered redundant, meaning they were being paid to do nothing, or their roles will now be combined. So they'll be combining HR and IT, just as an example, into one portfolio, and then an executive will take up and absorb the work that the two executives are doing. So you have these 9 now. I had a look through Eskom's financials from the previous year up to March 2018, and just 13 group executives were costing the South African taxpayer 51.6 million rand. So it's at quite a hefty price tag that we have all these group executives. So after the Section 189 process, it obviously made sense that you could have fewer people doing a lot of the work that a lot of people have been doing, which in essence shows that there's been a sort of a bloated senior management structure at Eskom for years now. The spokesperson telling me that for the last 10 years they've been unable to increase revenue, which means their costs have kept going up as the power utility is less efficient, and they have 45 billion rand per annum in debt that they have to service. Amongst the 48,000 Eskom employees, they have a wage bill of 30 billion rand that they need to pay every year, but they have 419 billion rand debt, 350 of which is secured through government guarantees, which is why Pravin Gordhan and the President considers Eskom the biggest risk to the South African economy, should those lenders want to recall that 419 billion rand in debts all in one go.
Eskom then trimming down the number of these top executives from 21 to 9. A lot of them, the spokesperson Kulupasiwe is telling you, had become redundant. That then brings us to the question of why then the positions were created in the first place, if this is work that seemingly could have been done by 9 people anyway.
Yes, look, that's a very complex question. I think it's a legacy issue where a lot of positions may have been created and a lot of people were abusing the system, state-owned entities sitting on boards, people that weren't doing very much. And that, in essence, feeds into the narrative of state capture in this country, which is currently under investigation. But I think it's no secret that it was running as a cash cow and being used as a cash cow by many. And the fundamentals of running a power utility is you need to just look after your infrastructure and build new infrastructure to keep up with the times. And Kulupasiwe told me that, very simply, they haven't been doing as much maintenance as they should have. He said that, in essence, their maintenance budget has been cut over the last decade or so, when it should have been going up to deal with aging infrastructure that's older than most of us. So it was a very bad business model, one which the power utility, and they've taken a sort of a top-down approach, setting the example. Many of these executives accepted that they needed to set an example to the rest of Eskom. And if you're going to sort of cut fat off the bone, as it were, you need to start at the top. But of course that leaves a lot of very nervous people under those positions that are in middle management. And so 2019 could be a very interesting year, potentially industrial action if the jitters within that organization are not calmed.
We know NUMSA, one of the unions at Eskom, has made it clear that it will not accept any retrenchments as far as its members are concerned, but at senior and general manager level, earlier this year it came out that Eskom had around 400 of those sort of managers. Do we have an indication yet if this trimming will extend to that level as well?
Yeah, I asked the question whether this example that was being said at the top is going to filter through the organization, and the spokesperson saying it's a little bit early for that, and they don't want to, at the moment, create any nervousness, any panic within the organization. But you can be sure that the trade unions will not take that lying down. As I said, there's about 48,000. There were talks of several thousand losing their jobs, being retrenched. But at the moment, that's just not a viable option. And I asked the spokesperson, with this burgeoning debt of 419 billion, and the fact that, yes, we have the festive period now and the lights are remaining on because the country is in holiday mode. Industries, the mines, construction, they've shut down effectively until the second week of January. Are you going to be able to maintain us having the lights on from mid-January onwards? And that's where the questions start creeping in. We have heard from Pravin Gordhan, we've heard from Eskom senior management, and Kuluposiwe today confirming that from the middle of Jan, it's a nervous time for them, and they're not sure if they're going to be able to keep pace with those demands. So what 2019 holds, they are optimistic that the power grid is going to remain stable, but if not, stage one load shedding, which is 1,000 megawatts of power, which needs to be recouped from the grid somehow, that is going to be an interesting period. But job cuts, I think that's something that 2019 could potentially hold, and that's a whole other kettle of fish for management to deal with.
Okay, Michael, let's leave it there. Michael Apple, thank you, our reporter keeping watch on the Eskom situation. For reaction on this, I'm joined on the line now by NUM Provincial Secretary in the Western Cape, Soso Fisa. Afternoon to you, Soso. So I would take it, am I right in assuming that you are quite pleased at this news that the top executives will be reduced from 21 to 9?
No, actually we are not. We are not pleased. We have warned a long time ago about the upcoming retrenchment. And you'll remember that we have tabled our memorandums twice to the Parliament in Cape Town and as well as to the union buildings, because we saw this coming. Now, you cannot have a trade union that rejoices on retrenchment of a worker. And moreover, the rationale and motive by the remaining Eskom executive is unknown to us as to what is it that they seek to achieve. And you will recall that a few months ago, there were two senior executives that were recruited by Eskom at a time when we were told that the company is going through the financial crisis. The timing and the rationale of both of these events that are unfolding is very suspicious to us as the National Union of Mine Workers. But to respond to your question directly, there's nothing that we are rejoicing, because there's nothing that has been explained to say this is what we are trying to achieve. And we have always maintained the view that the low-hanging fruits in turning the Eskom situation around are not at retrenching at any worker, regardless of the level.
But Mr. Fisa, Eskom is saying they are in dire financial straits. They need to cut costs somehow, and this is one of those measures. So if you are not happy with these retrenchments, how would you like to see Eskom go about cutting costs?
You see, this thing of saying Eskom is in a dire situation, we need to contextualize it. Eskom on a daily basis is draining money to the IPPs, and there's nothing that is done as an immediate action to turn that around. I tell you today, if Eskom is to revise the amount of money that we are paying through the power purchase agreement, Eskom will realize immediate profits in its business. And moreover, we have money that is lying in the municipalities that is not being collected, which requires some political intervention objectively. Those two, in the main, will turn the Eskom situation in a blink of an eye, not chopping people. If I may tell you now, Putwam, the The retrenchment of those executives or the reduction of the number is not even a fraction, of what we need to save in comparison to the money that we have in excess of 13 billion in municipalities where Eskom workers have produced electricity for free, and yet the executives on those municipalities are sitting at their homes and enjoying Christmas. Hard-working Eskom employees face retrenchment as a result of unwillingness of municipalities to pay our money as Eskom. So we can't celebrate retrenchment of few executives which are going to come to the workers, whereas there are other sectors that are outside of retrenching people at Eskom.
The issue of unpaid Eskom bills by municipalities is also quite complex, though, isn't it? Because this has been an ongoing issue for years now, and I want to ask you about two things. Why do you think Eskom is failing to recoup monies from these municipalities? And what do you say then to those who say that in some of these municipalities, people are not paying simply because they're poor and cannot afford to pay? So punishing them for this lack of money by cutting off their lights would be a further abuse of the poor in the country, so to speak.
Let me get into that. The ordinary citizens pay for electricity from these municipalities. It is the executive that mismanage the money that the ordinary citizens have paid in purchasing the electricity unit. It is the executives that are not paying Eskom back the money that is due to them. And when Eskom applies for putting the electricity or for cutting the electricity, the very same municipalities or business people rightfully so go to court to interdict Eskom from paying the municipalities. The simplest thing to do is the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs to take ownership of the 13 billion debt from Eskom, and in the allocations, together with the Finance Ministry, in the allocations to these municipalities, they deduct the Eskom money, even if it's done on stages. But government must pay Eskom for whatever has failed, and they must put those executives to task and charge them to be personally liable for whatever damages that we're experiencing when it comes to the losses of Eskom financially.
Let me ask you this as we conclude. Do you have confidence in the management team led by Phakamani Hadebe to be able to pull Eskom out of the doldrums?
This story, tomorrow we are told that story, you end up not really knowing what really is the problem. And moreover, we haven't seen a plan that is derived from the real challenges that provide solutions to the problem that Eskom is having. If tomorrow, for example, or after you drop this call with me, you call one of the executives or the CEO, you call him to say, what is the immediate gain of retrenching these people? You are not going to get the answer. So to answer you directly, we are not confident that Eskom is going to turn things around the way things are happening, particularly when you look at the interference or the involvement of government, particularly from the Department of Energy's side. There's no way out of Eskom out of this, because these IPPs and the electricity increases are as a result of these IPPs, which Eskom has no control in negotiating the prices for. So if you ask me, there is no way out anytime soon. What we are going to see soon is the retrenchment that is targeted to workers, and we are prepared to fight for that. And this should be a warning to all those that are left at Eskom to look at what's coming for them.
All right, NUM Provincial Secretary in the Western Cape, Soso Fisa, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.